Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om. May Brahman protect us both. May Brahman bestow upon us both the fruit of knowledge. May we both obtain the energy to acquire knowledge. May what we both study reveal the truth. May we cherish no ill feeling toward each other. Om. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. Om Sthapakaya Cha Dharmasya Sarvadharmaswarupine Avatara Varisthaya Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. In our last class, if you still remember, the main point we discussed was why great souls are born under two conditions. Under poverty, most of them, exceptions like Rama, Buddha, etc., and in villages, poverty and villages. We discussed also what is the real village. What was the main point? Few people, and because of few people, few minds. Because of few minds, less number of vibrations. This is the first point. What is the second point? In villages, the traditions are very strong. Distractions are less, traditions are very strong. Now you can go back to last, we have discussed in detail. What we want to discuss from now onwards, a great soul was to be born. And where was he born? In a place called Kamarpukur. And in this section also, we will see how it is very important to be born, not to anybody, any family, but to be born in a family which can be very conducive to the growth of these great souls, without exception. Children born to happy, pure-minded, spiritual parents who observe a lot of what is called spiritual qualities, there is very good likelihood only the children also will acquire. With this we will discuss later on. Now I want to discuss some of the incidents. There was a place called Kamarpukur. This is just the introduction. No words can express the atmosphere of peace that pervaded the mainly agricultural villages of Bengal before they were devastated by malaria in 1867. People of various castes, high and low, such as the Brahmin, Kayastha, weaver, milkman, blacksmith, potter, fisherman, and dome, they all lived in harmony in those villages. This is the very important point. Second point is, all these people have been followers of various sects in Hinduism, Vaishnavas, Shaktas, Shaivas. Another important point, if you go to any Hindu temple, you will see there would be images of Shiva, and then Vishnu, Krishna, and then Devi, and then so many gods, Ganesha, Kartikeya. Now that's a very important point, because if you go to any other religious community like Christianity or Islam, how many gods and goddesses will be there? Only one. So this background is very necessary for the what is called how Sri Ramakrishna had grown up in that village where everybody accepts every other what is called manifestation of God, and that's why Hindus have no problem to go to a church or even a mosque also, but it's rare for Hindus to go to a mosque. Not because of anything, he doesn't see any God there. God means he must see some kind of image, etc. Whereas if you go to church, you will see at least Jesus Christ. It's absolutely fine. So that is very important now. So 3 points we will discuss later on. What are those 3 points? First of all, the parents must be people of great character. Secondly, there must be a lot of what is called all the so-called 4 castes, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras of different actions, etc. are very necessary. What is the third point? There must be also a background surrounding of a child growing what is called different religious sects. Otherwise, Sri Ramakrishna, suppose, just imagine, if Sri Ramakrishna was born in a Christian, Orthodox Christian family, would he have been able to preach Jato mat tato pat, as many faiths, so many paths? Would he have been able to do it? The result would be he would be very narrow-minded. The result would be his teachings would have been valuable only to a very narrow community of people. All these factors are involved. The most important is the good parents. Parents of great character, spiritual character, cultured people, even if they be poor people. That's why we see the events. Even though Sri Ramakrishna's parents, especially Kshudiram, was moderately wealthy man before he was born. But as soon as God decided to be born, what was the first thing he did? Took away all the wealth. And this has a connection in a promise that is declared in the Bhagavatam. In Bhagavatam there is a verse which says, upon whomsoever I bestow my grace, first thing I do is to take away all his attachments. What are the attachments? Like, wealth, etc. So that is very necessary, because if God doesn't take away our attachments, then we will never progress in spiritual life. That's very important. Okay. So now what happened? There was a place called Deri, and it is a village not very far from present Kamarpukur, maybe about 1.5 or 2 miles. Even now it is there, and a Ramakrishna Mission branch is operating there. Yeah. So Kshudiram, he was the son of one Manikram Mukhopadhyaya. We do not know much about Manikram Mukhopadhyaya, but we guess if Kshudiram had developed this wonderful character, that means his father and mother must have been extraordinarily great people. So it's very important for us to know it is never possible for a great spiritual personality to be born in a family where the parents and others are not spiritual. It is possible for an ordinary person to be a bit spiritual even if the parents are not spiritual. And there is a reason why we tell that. Because there is a wonderful debate going on, very hot debate even today. Nature or nurture? So according to Hinduism, both. Nature means what? One's purvajanma samskara, one's nature, swabhava. Nurture means what things either help or hinder a baby in his future life. And it is, psychology has proved beyond a doubt, where the families are healthy, where the families are really cultured and disciplined and they have certain values, only there is a chance that the children also will be influenced. is a discussion we will reserve for later on, if we could complete it. So, Kshudiram, for some reason, he was there in that village. He was fairly wealthy person. How many bighas? I think about 40 bighas of wetland, which is, I think, around 12 to 13 acres of wetland, which is in those days very good. And then, you know what happened? There was a Jamindar there. You know, the Jamindar? Jamindar is a very rich landlord, like your middle-aged five lords, they call it. And he was a very wicked person. He was in the habit of dragging poor people to the court and swallowing all their properties. So there was an important case came up, and there in those days court decisions were totally different. They require witnesses. So these witnesses determine whether the case goes in favor of. So if the witnesses are powerful people, then the judges will decide, even though they may know the truth, they have to go according to law. So a lot of poor people have lost their anything, everything to this Ramananda Roy. And then what happened in one case, as you all know, I am sure you are familiar with all these incidents, he instituted a case and he wanted a reliable witness, and everybody in that village knows how truthful Kshudiram was, and he invited Kshudiram to bear false witness, which he refused outright, knowing what is going to be the consequence of this action. And his apprehension had come true. After some time, Ramananda Rai became so angry, egotistic, you know, how dare you refuse my commandment. And then what was the result? Kshudiram had lost all his property, his house, his fields, everything totally lost. Pauper. He became a pauper. And with two children, Ram Kumar and Katyayani, with two children, the clothes with which they were just left the village and then came to Kamarpur. We will see what incidents have taken place. So it is not known whether Kshudiram ever became proficient in any kind of learning that brought him money, but the Lord had blessed him with certain qualities. What are they? Truthfulness, contentment, forgiveness, renunciation, and other noble qualities. What are the other noble qualities? Deep devotion to God and extraordinary faith in scripture, Shraddha and Bhakti. So, Kshudiram was probably born in AD 1775. That much information is enough for us. So, Kshudiram was tall and stalwart and had a fair complexion and pleasing looks. Kshudiram showed a deep devotion to Sri Ramchandra, who had been worshipped in his family generation after generation. Now, certain things literally I lifted from the what we call the Leela Prasanga, great master. I am going to read because this is a meditation for us. He was in the habit of performing Sandhya along with his other daily routine, after which he would collect flowers for the worship of Ramachandra Raghuvir. Not until he finished his worship would he eat anything. He never accepted gifts from Shudras and would even refuse invitations from Brahmins who performed religious rites for them. Nor would he drink water touched by Brahmins who took money for giving their daughters in marriage. He was greatly loved and respected by the villagers for his faithful observance of pious customs. He was respected as a rishi. We'll come to that point. Now, according to Dharma Shastra, who is a Brahmin? There is a beautiful verse which says, Janmana jayate Shudraha. Samskarat bhavet Dvijaha. Veda Pathanat bhavati Vipro. Brahma janatiti Brahmanaha. So 4 stages before a child becomes Brahmin. Janmana, by birth, we are all Shudras. Who is a Shudra? A Shudra is one who has no good samskaras, who behaves like a wild animal, who has no values or principles in life. He is called Shudra. A child, we can forgive in a child because a child is accepted as most loving thing, even though it is what is called Shudra. But in Hindu custom, 4 castes are there. Brahmin is supposed to be the highest caste. So by birth, even a Brahmin boy becomes only a Shudra. Samskarat dvija uchyate. Samskara means what? Hindu samskaras? Yagnopavita. Poita. When he is instituted with a sacred thread, what does he become? Dvija. Dvija means twice born. We are all twice born. All the devotees who are initiated are twice born. Even if they are not Brahmins. We know why? Because initiation. Initiation means second birth. Second birth means then Sri Ram Krishna and Holy Mother become the father and the mother. That is called second birth. We are all Dvijas. The moment we are initiated, either by Gayatri mantra or by any mantra from a guru, we all become Dvijas. Then Veda Pathanat Bhavet Vipraha. This Brahmin boy, after getting this, what is called Yagnopavita, until he studies Vedas, he cannot become a Brahmana. What does he become by the study of Vedas? Vipraha. He gets the title of Vipraha. Then Brahma janati iti Brahmanaha. Then a Vipra must evolve. So after studying Vedas, what should he do? He should practice them. When he practices, the inevitable result would be knowledge of the self, Brahma. When a person really realizes Brahman, then only he is entitled to be called as what? Brahmanaha. This, let us keep this in mind. And Kshudiram had these: truthfulness, contentment, forgiveness, renunciation, bhakti, shraddha, and this aparigraha. In Yama we get it: aparigraha, ahimsa, brahmacharya, then asteya, then aparigraha. All these qualities were totally manifest in Kshudiram. So when he sits for worshipping, then he would not eat anything until he finishes his worship, etc. We will discuss these things. Now about Chandra Devi, wife of Kshudiram, then we will come back to Kshudiram. She was simple-hearted, good-looking, devoted to the service of the gods and the twice-born. But her outstanding qualities were her heartfelt religious faith, love and affection, and it was these that made her dear to all. Born probably in the year 1791, she must have been only about 8 years old at the time of her marriage in 1799. Chandra Devi's loving and guileless nature captivated her neighbors and made them look upon her as their mother. From no one else did they receive such heartfelt sympathy. In that their neighbors regarded Chandra Devi as their own mother. The poor knew that whenever they went to Chandra Devi, they would receive not only food, but also such a genuine welcome and affection as would fill their hearts with inexpressible joy. This is a wonderful description. We have to be very attentive to what is it. See, suppose some poor person comes to you. You can also help that poor person because you feel compassion. But would they feel joyous? Of course, they are happy receiving something from you. That is a different joy. But would they really feel joyous? Here, they would feel that this lady not only is giving, but so affectionate, it is indescribable. Their hearts were filled with joy. Now, here is a law. Who can give money to other people?
Who has got money?
Who can give joy to other people? And Sri Ramakrishna's two qualities, he especially he mentions of all these qualities. One, we all know, if anyone observes truthfulness for 12 years, he will realize God because God is truth. Second, he is to say, unless a person becomes simple, he cannot realize the simple. What is another name for God?
Simple.
Simple. He is not complex, he is very simple. That's a word with deep meaning. At some point we will discuss about it. Chandra Devi, she doesn't know any guile. What is guile?
Complexity.
You know what is guile? Thinking one thing, saying something, and doing something else. This is permitted only for deep spiritual people. People hear you uttering Shiva and worshipping Shiva, and they hear you uttering Divine Mother's name. Deep in the heart, the person is worshipping Sri Hari. He doesn't want anybody to know that he is a devotee of Sri Hari. So this can apply to any other god or goddess, because a true spiritual person doesn't want anybody else to know this is a secret between the aspirant devotee and the god. So he will think, oh, he is a devotee of Shiva, and etc. So in Kshudiram, what do we find? Truthfulness, absolute truthfulness. That's why God came to him. In Chandra Devi, what do we find? Simple hearted, devoted to the gods, and no guile, absolutely no guile, and infinite amount of affection. And that is why a god was born in that village. So this was the description given that any poor people knew that whenever they went to Chandra Devi, they would receive not only food, but also such a genuine welcome and affection as would fill their hearts with inexpressible joy. Second, to holy men living on alms, her door was always open. There was nothing, third, that the children could not coax out of Chandra Devi. Any village child, they know, if we go to this house, we will surely get everything. Thus, everyone, young or old, was welcome at any time to Kshudiram's cottage, which in spite of poverty and suffering, always radiated a wonderful peace and joy. What does this description remind us of? A rishi's ashrama. That is why people considered him as a rishi. If people considered Kshudiram as a rishi, what do you think they considered Chandra Devi? Rishi Patni. And in our Hindu literature, there is one rishi family which is alluded every time we want an Adarsha Dampati. You know who are they? Vasishtha and Arundhati. That is why marriage time, every time a Hindu couple get married, they are shown these two stars called Vasishtha and Arundhati. Yeah, sometimes the priests show them even at midday. But the custom shows that this is the ideal we have to go. And Kshudiram and Chandra Devi absolutely correspond, Vasishtha and Arundhati. Then Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother absolutely correspond to Yajnavalkya and Maitreyi. We'll come to that later on. So, anybody was welcome at any time to Kshudiram's cottage, which in spite of poverty and suffering always radiated a wonderful peace and joy. We have to imagine how wonderful it would be if you just to stray into that house. You feel yourself so peaceful, so joyous, so drawn. What is the feeling? I have come home. That is the feeling. Now, coming back to Kshudiram. Kshudiram lost his property in a dispute with the landlord. We already mentioned that incident. He had to leave. So, Kshudiram left there. It did not take Kshudiram long to discover how difficult it was to manage worldly affairs without deviating from the path of righteousness. Probably a short time after he lost his property in a dispute, his daughter Katyayani was born. He had to undergo a very hard test. So at the time of his loss, Kshudiram was about 40 years old, in the prime of, you call, youth. You know, he was not old, not young, had experience. At that time he lost everything and he came to Kamarpukur, which is 1.5 miles. And he had a wonderful friend there. The name of that friend was Sukhalal Goswami. And he was a rich person. As soon as Kshudiram came, Sukhalal Goswami was so happy for two reasons. The one reason was they were such intimate friends. You know, if we get real good friends, we are always happy. Second reason was Sukhalal Goswami knew how great Kshudiram was. So immediately he vacated some huts and told, you can stay here, this is yours. And he also gave slightly more than 1 biga of land. A person who had more than 40 bigas just gave 1 biga, means 1/3 of an acre approximately. And Kshudiram named it, gave a very beautiful name. If you remember, Lakshmi Jala. Name was Lakshmi. And it became really Lakshmi. The property inherited from his ancestors, together with that acquired by him over many years, had vanished like a cloud dispersed by the wind. But this calamity did not affect his upright conduct in the least. He took absolute refuge at the holy feet of Raghuvir, calmly reflected on what he should do in order to escape the wicked landlord, and finally bade goodbye forever to his paternal homestead and village. Okay. Now, very important thing, he lost everything. He came to the new place. By God's grace, he got a little bit of what he lost. What would be the effect upon anyone's mind when a person suddenly loses everything? Usually, two effects are seen. First, many people are likely to commit suicide. And it has happened whenever the times of depression had come. The second thing that could happen is, even if they don't commit suicide, they would be very, very worried, unhappy, depressed. Why God has made like that? This is the normal reaction of every worldly person. Who is a worldly person by definition? A person who is totally attached. Attached means a person's value lies in the things to which he is attached. It's a wonderful point to be discussed. We would never be attached to something which we don't value. So, this question of value depends upon our evaluation of a thing. That is why Swami Dayananda Saraswati, sometimes he expresses things very beautifully. He says a value is only a value when that value is valued by the valuer as of great value. Beautifully expressed. So, if you present a Rolls Royce car to a child, do you think he will value it? But if you give a small toy car, then he will be in high heavens. That's very important for us to understand. So, what was the effect of it upon a spiritual aspirant like Kshudira? He was a typical devotee of God. What should be its effect? What was his effect? He was a devotee of God. And the same thing we can also apply if something happens. So it need not be property. It could be a relative, friend, husband, wife, children, anything we value. If we lose, then what would be the effect upon our mind? Or a tragic event, unexpected tragic event. Nobody died, but it could be an event which we don't expect, but these things can come in life. What would be the result? And you see, this Swami Sharadanandaji, he is explaining. That is why it is so very important. The reason why Kshudiram lived like a Vanaprasthin at Kamarpukur. As soon as he came after this incident, his whole outlook has changed. Now, until that time, he completed 2 ashramas. What are they? Brahmachari ashrama and Grihastha ashrama. Still he is a Grihastha, but he entered into the 3rd stage. What is the 3rd stage? What is it called? Vanaprastha means what? Sometimes people physically go and live in a solitary place, a less solitary place, but more important is the state of the mind. So only when misery and calamities come do men realize the transitoriness and worthlessness of this world. It is therefore not at all surprising that Kshudiram now felt detached from the world and that his profoundly religious mind was full of devotion to God and reliance on him. He lived like a Vanaprasthi, not like a Grihastha at all. That means he was totally devoted to God and he just managing the family because he was still, his wife was there, children were there, and even 2 more children will come, 3 more children will come actually after this. Who are those 3 more children? Ramakrishna, Rameshwar, Ramakrishna and Sarvamangala. 3. So there is a beautiful incident. How Kshudiram came upon the Salagrama of Raghuvira. I think most of you do know that. So Kshudiram used to perform some pujas etc. in respectable Brahmin families only. That's why they were called Kulina Brahmana. In Bengal, Kulina Brahmana is a very important title. Kulina Brahmana means even though many are Brahmins, these Kulina Brahmins, orthodox of the orthodox Brahmins, they do only certain things. They never do certain things like, perform worship in a Shudra's house or accept gifts from low caste people. They will never do that. That's why remember when Ram Kumar came to Dakshineshwar, accepted the priesthood at Kali temple, Sri Ramakrishna refused to accept that situation and he refused to take food until 3-4 months passed and then only he used to weep and then do things. So what was this incident? One day he went out of the village to another village and after finishing the job he was coming back and they had to walk in those days. Why in those days? Even in my days we had to walk 3 miles to go to school every day. 3 miles. Now we say whoosh. At that time it was a joy, just run. Who will run first? Who will reach the school first? Yeah. It was such a joyful thing, and also come back running. Yeah. It used to take about 45 minutes or something it used to take. And now, every day if we have to go, it would be the very difficult thing. Okay. So what happened? He was returning. He was tired. So it was very hot at noon. So there was a tree and he sat down and he went to sleep and he had a dream. In that dream, Suddenly his chosen deity, family deity, unchosen deity, both are same. That is Ramachandra. That's why is it Ramachandra? Because all his family members, at the end, there would be, Kshudi Ram, Manik Ram, Ram Kumar, Rameshwar, etc. Ram, Ram, Ram. It will come. And very interesting also. They were also, some of them were Shakti Upasakas. Ram himself used to worship Shitala Devi. And Rameshwar got a special gift from the Divine Mother, as she wrote something. Do you know that? We'll read about it. So, Ram was sleeping, he had a dream. In the dream he saw, Raghuveer came and said, I am lying here for a long time. Nobody is taking care of me. Will you take care of me? And then he showed a place in the fields, open fields. So after immediately he woke up, and first he thought it was a dream. Then he saw the exact place where Raghuveer had pointed out to him. Then he went near and he saw really a shaligram lying down and a small snake with hood. Who is that snake? Hindu gods are always associated with snakes. Vishnu is sleeping on snake, and Shiva's ornaments are snake. What does the snake symbolize? Very important for us to understand what is the connection with gods and snake. Snake always signifies yoga, state of mastery over yoga. That's why the whole tantra, Kundalini, is imagined like a snake.
And Swamiji also used that in the emblem.
Yes, it is most common thing. So a snake is always indicates a state of yoga. One who becomes a yogi is a master of his state, Kundalini yoga. Okay, so he was not afraid. He stretched his hand and then the snake disappeared. And then he took the shaligram and brought it home, examined it. There is a way to examine it. This thing doesn't become a shaligrama. There are certain signs. So he knew about it, he examined it, he found it was real shaligrama, and even today, if you go to Kamarpukur, where that family worship is done, it is still there. You can see that one. So this was the incident, it happened. The difficulties continued, but Kshudiram cheerfully bore all kinds of misfortune, strictly observing all his religious duties as ever. Some days there would be food, some days there is no food. In the beginning, those difficulties continued. But unperturbed, Kshudiram would comfort Chandramani Devi and say, never mind, if Raghuveer chooses to fast, why shouldn't we? At this, the simple-hearted Chandra, also like her husband, would resign herself to Raghuveer and go on with her household duties, and somehow food sufficient for the day would come. But he did not suffer long from this uncertainty, for that one bigha and 10 chetaks of land at Lakshmi Jala had yielded more than enough. Not only for him, he also was able to distribute it to the poor people. Henceforth, it became natural for him to be always indrawn, and in consequence, he had from time to time various divine visions. At the beginning of this class, I always mentioned divine visions, we have to believe. If we don't believe, we are not going to have it. Let us discuss this for a minute. We are all meditating, hoping against hope that one day the Ramakrishna and Holy Mother or other forms of gods, we would be able to behold them. That beholding these divine personalities, what is it called? Vision. In this connection, we also have to know, how do we know something is a vision or not? Whether it is what is called intensified imagination, or is it coming from within ourselves, or has it come from outside, from God? How do we know? There is one invariable criteria to be applied. If it is a vision, it would alter our character permanently. If it is our imagination, it will alter our character temporarily. Then we go back to our this thing. But if it is a divine vision or divine dream, because visions can occur also in dreams, then that will permanently alter our character. There is no doubt about it. Shuddhiram had a divine dream. Was it a dream or was it a vision? Why? Because it came true. Yeah. So he became indrawn and he had divine visions. Every morning and evening, during his prayers, he would repeat the meditation mantra describing the Gayatri. He was a Brahmin. So Gayatri mantra. During his prayers, with such deep devotion and concentration of mind that his chest became flushed and from his closed eyes flowed tears of love. And then it is also described, his whole chest becomes reddish because the blood was moving upward. Early in the morning, he would go basket in hand to pick flowers for the worship, and at such times, the goddess Shitala, who received his daily adoration, would appear before him as an 8-year-old girl dressed in red and wearing many ornaments. Just imagine, not one day, day after day, one day, first time she appeared, and then he was gathering flowers, and then this small girl came and she was holding the branches so that with one hand basket is there, another hand he could pluck flowers, and he asked, "My child, who are you?" What was her reply? "I am Mother Shitala." And that Mother Shitala, whom he used to worship in his Kamarpukur days, that in a pot, that pot is still there, enclosed in a bigger pot. That's what at least the priest told me there. Ramlal's grandson or whatever it is there, he told me. I hope it is true. So Mother Shitala, this is every day it is happening. Every day he is seeing Divine Mother coming and helping him. How do you interpret it? You see, if she doesn't help, that day she will not get good amount of flowers. Simple. If you want, come and help. And this is seen in every saint's life. God will come and somehow help in so many ways. He helps us also. But only thing is we do not recognize in what form he is coming there. Shitala, who received his daily adoration, would appear before him as an 8-year-old girl, dressed in red and wearing many ornaments. Dressed in red. That reminded me, once Ramakrishna went to his Kali temple with Hriday. As he was entering, there were some girls playing. The girls, they play that jumping or whatever you call it. And then Sri Ramakrishna saw, and Hriday also saw. They went inside and they offered puja and they came out. Then Sri Ramakrishna told, "Did you see those girls playing before we entered?" "Yes, yes." "Did you notice that girl with a red sari?" He said, "Yes." "Do you know who she is?" He said, "That is Mother Kali." "Mama, why did you not tell earlier?" See, would he have believed? We don't know. But by the time they came out, she disappeared. So, they had these experiences all the time. Shitala would accompany him smiling and help him pluck flowers by bending the branches in blossom. These visions filled his heart with joy. His staunch faith and deep devotion were reflected in his countenance and kept him always on a high spiritual plane. Seeing his calm and peaceful face, the villagers instinctively recognized his spirituality and began to venerate him with the love and devotion due to a rishi. Whenever they saw him coming, they stopped all idle talk, stood up, and greeted him respectfully. They hesitated to enter the tank when they saw him bathing and waited in reverence till he had finished. With complete faith in him, they came for his blessings in weal and woe. Another incident showing Sridharam's deep devotion to God. Not only was his family deity was Ramachandra, but he was also worshipping Mother Shitala, and he was also worshipping Lord Shiva. This was the incident related with Shiva. For Shiva, only water and bilva leaves. So what happened? Bilva tree is a deciduous tree which sheds all its leaves in winter. Only early spring the leaves will come. Once Sridharam was going to Medinipur to see his nephew, Ramchand. Then you see, at that time in Kamarpukur, all the bilva trees were completely nude. There was no leaf at all. So he could not worship Shiva to his heart's content. He could offer water, but bilva leaves we consider. So one morning he got up, was going to Medinipur. He walked for 3-4 hours, and at about 10 o'clock he found out, when he approached a village, there was a tree on the bank of a tank, on the shore of a tank, with full new bilva leaves. What did he do? He discontinued his journey. He bought one small basket and one new piece of cloth, and he washed the basket, and he gathered enough number of bay leaves, and then walked back another 3-4 hours. And Chandramani Dev was shocked. Why did you come back? And he said, I saw I have to worship Lord Shiva. Then what did he do? He took bath, he worshipped Lord Shiva to his heart's content, and their worship is not like our lightning meditation. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a meditation, it is called lightning meditation. Meditation on lightning, on thunder. That's why one of our Swami said, it is called lightning meditation. Our meditation is lightning meditation. Over in a flash of a second. He did his puja wholeheartedly. Maybe he took 2 hours, 3 hours, we don't know. Then Chandramani Devi was waiting. Then he took his food, and next day again he started. She was surprised to see what was his deep devotion. What do we do in such a situation? So we say, okay, on the way back, I will collect, and we don't want to lose our this thing. That deep devotion, it's wonderful to have. Okay, then what happened? Sridharam had gone in 1824, he said, we don't know what is this one, 1824, to Rameshwaram on foot. And then when he came back, he brought one Banalinga there, Shivalinga, and then he established it. And soon afterwards, his son was born to him, and he was called Rameshwar. So this what happened. Then a little bit of diversion is there. Swami Sharadananda tells, every member of Sridharam's family had some miraculous powers. I think we will discuss about it later on. So what happened? Sridharam's desire to make a pilgrimage to Gaya. So it was in 1835. Sri Ramakrishna was born in 1836. So the incident was, he had felt a deep desire to go to Gaya to offer what you call Pindi, Shraddha, to his ancestors. And then probably coupled with that, there was an incident narrated by Hriday, not authenticated, but it was mentioned. What was it? Katyayani, Sridharam's daughter who was married, she was possessed by a ghost. Then Sridharam went there, understood possession, and that is also a kind of miracle. Because people who don't believe in miracles, they also don't believe in ghosts, etc. In Sri Ramakrishna's life, Ghosts and other things are very common things.
Yeah.
So he went and then asked, why did you possess my daughter? Then that fortunate fellow, he said, I have committed sin. As a result, I have become a big ghost, very powerful ghost, Brahma Rakshas. So it is only for calling your attention, I have possessed your daughter. So if you, what can I do? So if you can go to Gaya and offer Shraddha on my behalf, because you are such a great soul. Because whatever he does it 100% Shraddha. Yeah. In fact, the word Shraddha comes from this word Shraddha. Funeral ceremony done with Shraddha is called Shraddha. Yeah. So he went. He said, "I will do it, but how do I know that you are freed?" He says, "In front of your house there is a huge mango tree, and all of a sudden a huge branch will fall down, and you will know by that I have been released." We don't know whether this story is true or not, but it could be true. That is the point. He went. That is where our whole class is about. He stayed for a few days, he performed all the rituals according to the scriptural injunctions, and then he was highly satisfied that he had done his best. Last day he was sleeping extremely peacefully, happily, and he had a divine dream. He found in the dream, he was staying outside the temple, but in his dream he found himself in the temple. And then he saw all his ancestors were so pleased. He was able to see his family, his father, his grandfather, all of them, bestowing their blessings upon him. And as he was filled with devotion seeing all of them, even in dreams, because when we are dreaming, let us not forget, that is not a dream. When we are dreaming, that is absolute waking state, real. Then he suddenly saw all of them had turned their faces looking in one direction. Then his attention was drawn and he saw. Then what did he see? Gaya Vishnu, and he beckoned him. And you can understand, you can only imagine, no words can describe. Slowly he went forward, and then Vishnu told him, Kshudiram, I am so pleased with you, I would like to be born as your son. And of course, Kshudiram had protested, I am poor man, how can I serve you? He said, whatever way you serve me, I will be very pleased with you. And this was the dream. And when he woke up, you can imagine what type of joy he had. Now, before we proceed, we come back to Kamarpukur. He was still there several months. Meanwhile, we all know, one day Chandramani Devi went to the Shiva temple, which is just next to her. And as she was entering into that from outside, divine light from the Shivalinga just flooded and came and then overwhelmed her. She became unconscious, but she felt that light entered her womb, and she felt that she was with child. Now after she came back to consciousness, there was a companion, Dhani. And then she told, this is what had happened. And she said, you have become mad in your old age. How is it possible for the light to come and you become pregnant, your husband is not there? She said, she was very simple. She did not hide anything. She said, that is my firm conviction. And they did not believe. How can a woman become pregnant with family when the husband was not there? But we have instances of at least 6 instances. Okay. Jesus Christ, Mother Mary, Bhagavan Buddha, Bhagavan Ramchandra. How was Ramchandra born? Not because of Dasharatha and Kausalya, by eating that one. What about Bhagavan Krishna? That is also due to divine this thing. Then we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instance. Then Shankaracharya's instance. Shankaracharya's parents did not have a child. They were praying. Then you see, one night they were devotees of Lord Shiva. And one night, the Shankaracharya's father dreamt. Shiva came in the dream, said, I am pleased with you. I myself will be born as your son, but you have to decide two things. Do you want a son, very ordinary, will live long time, or extremely brilliant, will live only very short time? And he chose a brilliant son, even though he was only very short-lived. So, she conceived not by male contact, but through God's grace. Now, this is a subject which most people will poo-poo.
What was the Sri Chaitanya's story?
Huh?
Sri Chaitanya Dev's story?
His father also, they prayed to the Lord and they had a divine vision like that. As a result, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born. So what we see, wherever an incarnation of God, he is never born as a what is called normal event. Husband and wife come together and the wife conceives. Wife conceives but not through husband. These are the incidents. Lord Buddha, one day this lady, Mayavati, she felt that a white elephant has entered into her womb and she felt that she was with child. And she told her husband and he called the astrologers and they all believed. In all these cases, what is extraordinary, the husbands with absolute faith have accepted this as a fact of life. Now you tell it to any modern scientist, either he says it is superstition, or they say it is impossible, or third thing they say it is a tale created by devotees to propagate the glory of their own particular deity. But Sri Ramakrishna was born to prove that it is not a tale. Why? Because the husband was not even there when she was, after a few months, when he returned, then he found her with, this is most interesting, she was pregnant. What should be a husband's reaction when he was not there, his wife was with a child? What would be the normal reaction? But he also could have had the same reaction. But he knew, two things he knew. The first thing is, he had that divine dream and he had 100% faith in that divine dream. The second thing that happened was, he knows Chandra Devi so well, he knows, even by mistake, she is not a person to commit any kind of sin. He had the tremendous faith in his wife because he has seen her nature. She never hid anything. As soon as he came, we will discuss in our future class, she also told him, because she had so much of confidence in her husband. She told, this is what happened and they all called me mad and all that. He also, because that background, and he told, no, whatever you know, it is all true, it is God's grace. A great soul, Mahapurusha, is going to be born in our family. So be very careful, very pure. Not only that, there are certain things we will discuss in our next class. So if it is true that he had such a wonderful dream, and we just now mentioned, such a wonderful dream is not a dream, but it is a vision. So what is the difference between a dream and a vision? A dream could be a mere, what is called fancy imagination, not real. That is the main idea, not real. Whereas a vision is always a truth of truths. It will come to be true. And if it is a vision, how do we know? We already discussed. What was that? There would be change in character. So there was a change in the character of Kshudiram, and there was a greater change in the character of Chandramani Devi. What are all those characters? We will discuss, because she also had several visions. This was only one of the visions. Several visions of gods, goddesses. But the most astonishing change that came over her. Now, if we believe that in her womb who was growing? God. So God is the mother of the whole universe. Therefore, she became a mother of the entire universe, as it were, of even gods, goddesses that we will read out in our future class. So we will stop here now. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.